I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before you answer. A person, a candidate, a team member. But here is what I know for certain. The greatest talent you will ever encounter may not arrive in the packaging you expect, and never once realize you let the real diamond walk right out the door. Meet Priya. She has been a hiring manager for 12 years. She has built 2 successful teams from scratch. She knows what she is looking for. She knows it the moment she sees it, or at least she thinks she does. Priya has a checklist. Top university, polished resume, confident handshake, articulate answers. If you check those boxes, you are in. If you don't, she moves on. She calls it her gold standard. And for years, it worked until the day she hired Marcus. Marcus was everything on the checklist. He had the right degree, from the right institution. He spoke in the language of strategy and impact. He quoted the right frameworks. He wore the right suit. He even laughed at the right moments. Priya hired him within 48 hours. She told her director, "This one is a star." And for the first 3 months, Marcus looked exactly like a star. He presented beautifully in meetings. He impressed the senior leadership. He had all the right answers. But here's the thing about costumes. Eventually, the zipper comes undone. 6 months and the cracks began to show. Marcus could talk about leadership, but he could not do leadership. When his team needed direction, he gave them presentations. When they needed support, he gave them slogans. When things went wrong, he pointed fingers. His team was quietly exhausted. His results were quietly declining, and Priya was quietly devastated because she had been so dazzled by the costume that she had never once looked for the character underneath it. And then Priya thought about Elena. Elena had been the 3rd candidate in that same hiring round. Her resume was not a straight line. She had taken a different path, moved across industries, taken a risk on a startup that didn't work out. In the interview, she paused before answering. She said, "I don't know the answer to that, but here's how I would approach finding it." Priya had marked her down for that. She had seen it as uncertainty. She had missed what it actually was. Honesty, intellectual humility. The rarest and most powerful quality in any leader. Here is what I want every manager and every leader watching this to understand. You are not hiring a resume. You are not hiring a performance. You are hiring a human being who will one day face a situation that no checklist prepared them for. It will be their values. It will be their courage. It will be their willingness to say, "I don't know," and then go find out. The most dangerous hire you will ever make is the person who has mastered the art of sounding right without ever having to be right. You start asking questions that require reflection. Ask them about a time they were completely wrong. Ask them what they learned from the hardest professional relationship they ever had. Ask them what their previous team would say about them, honestly. And then, most importantly, listen. Not for the polished answer. Listen for the real one. The person who pauses, who thinks, who gives you a genuine response, rather than a performed one. That is the person you want building your team's future. Priya rewrote her hiring process. She stopped looking for people who sounded like leaders and started looking for people who acted like leaders, even when no one was watching. Her next team became the highest performing group in her entire organization. Not because they were the most polished, because they were the most real. They were honest about what they didn't know. They were brave enough to ask for help. They were accountable when things went sideways. And they were loyal because they had been chosen for who they truly were, not for the costume they wore. I want to leave you with this. Every single person on your team right now, and every person you will ever hire, is a complete human being with layers you have not yet discovered. Your job as a leader is not to find the person who fits the mold. Your job is to find the person who will break the mold in the best possible way. Look past the costume. Look past the rehearsed answers and the polished presentation. Look for the person who is genuinely, authentically, courageously themselves. Because that person, the one who shows up real, is the one who will show up for your team when it matters most. Build something real.